The Supreme Court of Nigeria on Friday 12, 2024 affirmed the election of Governor Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. Mr. Mutfwang of the People Democratic Party (PDP) was declared the winner of the governorship election last March by the Independent Electoral Commission (INEC). However, in a judgment delivered last November, the Court of Appeal upheld his victory. Following this victory at the Supreme Court, Governor Caleb Mutfwang has come out to thank, eulogize, praise President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for not interfering in the Supreme Court judgment. Speaking on Channels TV, Mr. Mutfwang said the president of Nigeria, among the world's most powerful leaders, could have wrongly wielded his presidency power to oppress him out of office and support his party mate, APC Netawe Yiwadat, to become governor, but chose not to. For African president not to intrude into the political space, we must say kudos to Mr. President, the Plateau governor has said. The Nigerian president is one of the most powerful presidents, and if he decides to use his powers wrongly and intrude into the political arena, it could unsettle a lot of things. His counterpart in Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, has revealed that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu prevented his political enemies from snatching his electoral victory, disclosing that the former leaders of the Bauchi State had claimed he was a threat, but the president ensured that justice was done. He said, "I'm grateful to the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who believe in good governance, allowing the rule of law to persist, irrespective of the lies and mischievous acts that have been perpetrated against me." This is a very disturbing statement coming from governors who just won their election at the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court is meant to be independent. Why will these governors come out and begin to ascribe their victory to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Remember, during the festive period, some governors, including those from the PDP, they paid Bola Ahmed Tinubu a visit, and this visit led to a lot of permutations that this was due to their case in the Supreme Court. Well, thankfully, they've won the election, but our concern is on the independence of the judiciary. But however, there is a twist in the declaration of Mutfwang of Plateau State as a winner of the election in Plateau State, because that has caused a constitutional crisis in Plateau State. And I'm going to explain this in details. Ride with me. Following the Friday judgment of the Supreme Court affirming that Election Petitions Tribunal and Court of Appeal have no jurisdiction to entertain pre-election matters, Mutfwang of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) was declared the winner of the governorship election that was held on March 18, 2023, after he pulled a total of 525,999 votes to defeat his closest opponent, Dr. Netawe Yiwadat of the All Progressive Congress (APC), who got 481,371 votes. The Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Plateau State had also affirmed the election of the governor. But in a curious twist, a panel of the Court of Appeal led by Justice Efreda Williams, in a unanimous decision in November 2023, ruled that Mutfwang was not validly sponsored by the PDP because the party has no structure. The court therefore nullified his election and declared the candidate of the APC, Yiwadat, as the governor of the state. In what seemed like a grand plot by the Court of Appeal to return the state to APC, the appellate court also nullified the victories of all the candidates of the PDP that were elected into the state and national assembly on the same ground of alleged invalid nomination, which was obviously a pre-election matter. I want you to take note of this because we will come back to it. Expectedly, the PDP and legal experts had cried foul and described the judgment as a miscarriage of justice, not only on the ground that the matter was a pre-election matter, which falls outside the jurisdiction of the Election Petition Tribunal, but also because the party truly has a valid and solid structure. The PDP alleged that the Court of Appeal might have been compromised and warned that such was dangerous for Nigeria's democracy. The decision of the Court of Appeal prompted Mutfwang to approach the Supreme Court. The Apex Court did not surprise legal experts when Justice Emmanuel Agim, who read the late judgment, noted that the APC's contention that the appellant was not qualified to contest the election because of non-compliance with the electoral law was faulty. Justice Agim said, "We have held in a plethora of cases that the sponsorship of a candidate for an election is an internal affair of a political party. The Court of Appeal lacks the jurisdiction to determine the validity of the candidacy of the PDP. Yiwadat of the APC has no right to challenge the emergence of Governor Mutfwang as a ticket holder of the PDP." He said the Court of Appeal had anchored its decision sacking the governor on the alleged failure of the PDP to comply with an order of the Plateau State High Court to conduct fresh congresses before holding primary election for nomination of its candidate for the 2023 general election. The Apex Court held that the order of the High Court had nothing to do with the party's power to conduct primaries for the Plateau PDP, as it did not nominate Mutfwang as a candidate for the governorship election. Justice Agim ruled that despite that, there is evidence showing that the order of the Plateau State High Court was complied with by the party. He asked a question: can the tribunal and the Court of Appeal determine the validity of the nomination of a candidate? He queried. Justice Agim declared that the order of the High Court of Plateau State had nothing to do with the power of NEC of the PDP. It is a jurisdictional matter. He said that for this reason, this appeal is allowed. The judgment of the Court of Appeal is set aside, inclusive of the orders made therein. The judgment of the tribunal is restored. The election of the governor is further restored. In his consenting decision, Justice Inyang Okoro, who headed the 5-member panel, said, "My only worry is that a lot of people have suffered as a result of the Court of Appeal's decision. It was obviously wrong. The appeal is allowed." Justice Okoro was apparently referring to the state and the federal legislators sacked by the Court of Appeal in a similar miscarriage of justice. Remember, I told you to take note of that word because we'll come back to it. Also consenting, Justice Helen said it was very wrong for the Court of Appeal to go into the issue of party congresses. To make matter worse, the party challenging the issue is another political party. The Apex Court's judgment has caused a lot of sporadic excitement in Jos, the state capital, as the entire state marched on the street of Jos to celebrate the victory of the governor. The people literally shut down Jos, the state capital, as commercial vehicles and motorcycles abandoned their duty posts to join the convoys of PDP supporters in driving around the city in jubilation. But the big question is, what now happened to other candidates of the PDP who had suffered a miscarriage of justice in the hand of the appeal court, but who did not have the opportunity to take their appeal to the Supreme Court? Remember, every matter in state level ends at the appeal court. Every matter in state level ends at the appeal court. And the appeal court in the state level that judge on the National Assembly election had nullified and disqualified all the PDP candidates that contested in that election. The only reason why the Plateau State governor is able to restore or take back his issue is because he went to the Supreme Court. Miscarriage of justice, constitutional rascality, constitutional crisis has been set in Plateau State. And the big question that everyone is asking, what will these lawmakers that were sacked by the Court of Appeal, what will be their fate? The PDP National and State Assembly members in the state fall into this category. For instance, Senator Napoleon Bali's victory of the PDP was nullified and handed freely to Senator Simon Lalong. Senator Simon Lalong was in Tinubu cabinet as a minister, but he has resigned from that cabinet and went to the National Assembly after he obtained that victory in the Court of Appeal, which, according to the Supreme Court, is an erroneous victory. It's an erroneous victory. The former Senate Minority Leader, Simon Mwanko, victory was annulled and the senatorial zone ordered to go back for another election. Honorable Benny Lai, Musa Bukos, Musa Aga, and many others were also affected by the miscarriage of justice of the Court of Appeal on the ground of invalid nomination. This has caused a lot of reaction, and former governor of the state, Senator Jonah Jang, said it's sad the damage that has been done to Plateau by the miscarriage of justice at the Court of Appeal. That is of great proportion because the kind of judgment that were delivered by the court have robbed the people of their rightful representation, both at the state and the national level. However, the good people of Plateau State, through the government of Plateau State and the PDP, have already petitioned the National Judicial Council, NJC, to review all the judgments involving Plateau State that were delivered by the Court of Appeal, which effectively stopped those that have been elected into the National and the State of Assembly from representing their constituency. They are doing this based on the precedent that have been set by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the highest law of the land. Whatever law that is set, that is delivered by the Supreme Court, stand as a law. There are many ways to make law in a country. One is by the constitution, the other one is by the ruling of the Supreme Court. So, with the Supreme Court judgment, it has become an anomaly for any of those senators under the APC to remain as legislators when they could not win election at the poll. This should not be allowed to stand. The authority must give back to the people their true representation and restore their mandate. With the statement of Governor Mutfwang and Bala Mohammed, it brings to fore the question of the corruption in the judiciary. We've seen how our courts have continued to deliver kangaroo judgment. The constitution is clear on nomination of candidates. Why then will the Court of Appeal give a different ruling from the Supreme Court? Are they not aware of the constitution? This case was also delivered during the Presidential Election Tribunal in the case of Atiku Abubakar of the PDP and Kashim Shettima of the APC. The lower court will have taken precedent from that ruling. This all boils down to the illegality in the land. It shows that the judgments are board, given different interpretations to one constitution by the judiciary is a blatant indictment on the judiciary. This is such a shame. We have not forgotten the Supreme Court ruling during the presidential election. Why were we here thinking that the judiciary will redeem itself, but they keep plunging themselves into mess upon mess of kangaroo ruling? What a shame.